And this is day 2 of our science. We're going to look today at local habitats. Local, places near us. Habitats, a place where living things are. You're alive, humans, all other animals and plants, they're all living things. This is what we looked at yesterday. And they all do certain things called life processes. Can you remember what they were? There were 7 of them. It was Mrs. someone, the way to remember it. It was Mrs. Gren. There were movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, that was waste, and then nutrition, that was food. To stay alive and healthy, you and all other living things need certain conditions that let you carry out these 7 life processes. You need food and water for the nutrition. You need space to move, to grow, and to have young, have babies. You need air, oxygen, for respiration and breathing. And you need shelter and safety. A habitat is a place where animals and plants live, and where they can find everything they need to stay alive. It could be as big as an ocean, or as small as a rock. Have a think about this. What is your habitat? Where do you live? What living things live and grow there? And how does your habitat keep you safe and sheltered? How does your habitat provide food and water? And how does it provide space for you to move and grow? If you want to talk about those, why not pause the video? Humans, though, we're unique because we can make big changes to our habitats to make sure that we have everything that we need. We build roads and vehicles so we can travel everywhere we need safely and quickly, or footpaths so we can walk more comfortably. We pipe fresh, clean water into our homes to use for drinking, cooking and washing. We don't have to live near fresh water because we have taps and plumbing. We grow plants for food and we farm animals for meat and dairy products, and we even have pets to keep us company. And we build houses with heating to protect us from cold weather or with air conditioning to protect us from the heat. Most animals don't do these things as much as we do. Now, plants and animals, they can't make big changes, but they rely on the environment around them to provide them with everything that they need. And that means they have to live somewhere that has the right conditions to help them stay alive and well. Because different places have different conditions, the plants and animals that live there are different too. And we're going to take a look at some common British habitats. If we look at these pictures, what sort of habitat might we be thinking about first? I've seen a lot of these around Manchester. Urban habitats, and most people in Britain live in an urban habitat. Those are areas with lots of buildings for people to live and work in, so things like towns and cities. And some of the living things in urban habitats are here because people have put them there. Trees, hedges, plants in parks and gardens, and our pets, those animals. But there are also many living things that grow wild in urban habitats, and they've found ways to survive alongside all the people that live nearby. We've got flowering plants like nettles, daisies, dandelions, buttercups. They grow in parks, in gardens, in hedges, and even in abandoned buildings or through cracks in the concrete or the pavement. And there'll be insects, slugs and snails living in those plants. We've got some animals such as squirrels and garden birds like pigeons. They get their food from the trees and hedges that grow in cities. Other animals like foxes, pigeons and rats are able to live in cities because they get most of their food from the waste that people leave behind. Just like the magpie I was thinking about yesterday. Where might you find these creatures? Well, in woodland habitat. They've got lots of trees that grow close together. Got oak trees, ash trees, beech trees, hawthorn and birch. And most British woodlands are deciduous, and that means that the leaves fall off the trees in winter. Those leaves can provide food and shelter for many creatures, and then they rot away into the soil, making it rich and full of nutrients. And as well as the fallen leaves, there are shrubs, flowers and grasses beneath the trees under them. These provide a home for many insects and invertebrates like worms, slugs and snails. Invertebrates don't have a spine or backbone. And you've got the fruit and the seeds of the trees and the small creatures that live among the leaves. They provide food for many other birds and small mammals, such as bats, mice, squirrels, stoats and weasels. And then there are bigger mammals like badgers, foxes and deer that are common in woodland. How about here? Where might you find these living things? Maybe a pond. A pond, we know, is a still body, not moving, of fresh water, not salty water. And some ponds are man-made. You might see them in a park or a garden. But others are natural, dips and hollows where the land goes down and then that's filled up with water. And lots of plants and animals live in the water in ponds, and many more live nearby. You've got plants like water lilies in the pond. You can see those in canals as well sometimes. You've got plants like hornwort and duckweed as well. And those plants, they provide food but also shelter for worms, slugs, snails and lots of insects as well, particularly dragonflies, mayflies, water beetles. And then amphibians like frogs, toads and newts, they eat the small creatures, and in turn those are eaten by mammals like bats and water voles. And many birds live near the water, including ducks, moorhens and kingfishers. We can use those life processes, remember the Mrs. Gren, to tell if something is living, dead or never alive. And remember, if a thing is alive, it does all of those things. If it doesn't do those life processes, but it did at some point in the past, then it's dead. And if it's never done those 7 life processes, it has never been alive, like the basketball. What can you see in this picture of the shoreline or the coast that is living, dead and has never been alive? Take a moment to pause the video while you talk about that. I'm going to ask you now to explore a local habitat like your garden or a nearby park and record things, draw and write them that are living, dead or were never alive. If you can't get out to somewhere, then you could think about your garden or think about the playground at school or a local park. And then you've got a grid here and I'd like to record the things that are living in that place, things that are dead in that place, and the things there that were never alive, things like rocks and stones. Once you've done that, I'm going to ask you to draw a map or a picture of the local habitat, and including in that trees, plants and any animal homes that you find. I've got an example here of an urban habitat, and they've even put some animals in the places. It's not to scale, obviously the hedgehogs aren't really that big, are they? But it's got places where different creatures might live, under the bushes, in the long grass, and then some animals there. So that's an example. Those are 2 things that you need to have a go at today, and I'll see you next time. Good luck.